Welcome to Everglades National Park.
Over the next 2 days, we're going to explore trails, waterways, and hidden gems along the way.
We've got a jam-packed 2 days here. Well, technically 2.5 if you count the morning we spent taking pictures at the welcome sign, but that's an us problem, not a you problem. This video is all about showing you just how much you can see and do in 2 days inside the park. We flew into Miami last night, grabbed our rental car, and made the hour drive down to Homestead, the perfect launching point to visit all of Florida's national parks. But I'm getting ahead of myself, because this video, it's all about the Everglades. We do a little bit of this, a little of that.
This is crazy.
One of us cries,
5 feet from the parking lot and I'm gonna have a panic attack.
and both of us sweat through our clothes.
I'm shocked. 1, how sweaty I am, but 2,
I'm not.
Equal parts beautiful and terrifying, this place is nothing like we expected in the best way possible. And it all starts right here.
Our first step is the visitor centers to talk to some park rangers, get our junior ranger books, and get a lay of the land.
Imagine having such a profound and positive impact on a place that they name a visitor center after you. That's exactly the legacy of Ernest F. Co. For 20 years, he persistently fought to make Everglades National Park a reality.
Visitor centers are the gateway to the parks and one of our favorite pit stops anytime we visit. With exhibits packed full of park history and facts, plus those classic park films, which we absolutely love.
There's more true than right here in South Florida's national parks.
They're the perfect place to learn about the park and plan your day. The exhibits inside Ernest F. Co. Visitor Center were top-notch. And there's also a bookstore where you can purchase postcards, magnets, or any other souvenirs you may want to commemorate your visit. And here's a little tip for when you go. Out the back, just past the mosaic map floor, you'll find a peaceful overwater gazebo with rocking chairs. It's the perfect spot to kick back, relax, and watch for wildlife.
That visitor center was really cool with some incredible exhibits, and we spoke to a ranger who gave us recommendations on what to do today in the southern portion of the park, and he suggested we head right over to the Missle base because between the hours of 10 and 2 it's an open house where you can just walk in and explore at your own pace. After that it is only open to guided tours, which we are not a part of, so we're going to head over there right now.
Big boy!
Our first wildlife spotting that was not a bird or a lizard. It was either an alligator or a crocodile. We don't know because his face was kind of in the water, but this is very exciting. Are those little raccoons?
Yeah, they look like little raccoons. Oh yeah, little raccoons. Be safe. Damn, we're spotting all the animals. We're animal spotters.
We haven't gone more than like 100 yards from the alligator and or crocodile, and we've already seen a big family of raccoons, more birds than we can count, and I feel like this is gonna be a good day to spot all the wildlife. All right, let's get a lay of the land here. The main park road stretches 38 miles from the Ernest F. Co. Visitor Center to Flamingo. It will take us about 20 minutes to drive from the entrance of the park to the Missle site. But let's zoom out. Visitor access to Everglades National Park is split into 3 main sections. There's the southern section, where we are now. You enter through Homestead and follow the park road all the way down to Flamingo. Then there's the northern entrance, known as Shark Valley, about an hour's drive from Homestead. And finally, the Gulf Coast section, about an hour west of Shark Valley. We're not visiting Everglades City where the Gulf Coast section is on this trip, but later in the video we'll talk about what you can see and do in that part of the park.
When you think of Everglades National Park, you usually don't think of the military and missiles.
The Missle base is a well-preserved relic of the Cold War. Built in 1965 after the Cuban Missile Crisis of October 1962, it was part of a US defense system designed to protect against a potential air attack from the south. This complemented other defenses against possible Soviet air attacks from the north. The site, which included missile barns, barracks, and assembly buildings, operated until 1979, and in 2004 it was listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Visitors can explore the area at their own pace through open house programs, or can get a deeper insight into the history via ranger-led tours. These programs fluctuate due to seasonal changes in staffing capability, so always check the park calendar or speak with a ranger at the visitor center before heading to the area.
The Nike Missle site is a short loop with a few buildings that you cannot go into, like the one behind me, and then the one that had the replica missile and park personnel there to answer any questions. If you have even a little interest in the military, it's definitely a worthwhile stop. We are now going to head down to the Flamingo area of the park, which is the end of the park road in the south, and we're going to work our way up to points of interest along the way. We just made it to the Flamingo section of the park, and we've been told that this is the best place to try to see manatees.
So we pulled out the big ones.
This is also the first instance where we've encountered mosquitoes. As soon as we opened the car doors, like 50 of them went into the car. So remember to pack bug spray. They are prevalent throughout the park. There are paved trails and walkways all around outside of the visitor center and the marina, and it is perfect just for a stroll along the water.
It's visitor center time again. This time at the Guy Bradley Visitor Center in Flamingo. You know the drill. We need to stamp our passport books, read all of the placards, play around with this little interactive map, assess the accuracy of the mosquito meter. I'd say it's spot on. And learn about the darker history of Everglades National Park.
We just walked through the visitor center and the exhibits.
Right there. It's right there.
We just walked through the visitor center and the different exhibits they have inside. There was a lot of information, some focused on the animals that you can see here, but also
We learned about Guy Bradley, the gentleman that this building is named after. He was the original game warden of this portion of Florida and was unfortunately killed by poachers who were after plumes of fancy birds.
and his murder helped further spearhead the movement to turn this area into protected lands. I just saw a manatee snoot. The camera settings were not appropriate, but it was there. So now another 20 minutes of waiting for it to breathe again.
We are currently on hour 37 of Manatee Watch. To help pass the time, here's a fun fact. Manatees eat 10% of their body weight every single day of seagrass. And to help with their buoyancy, they fart. Same.
He literally just popped his head up right when I put the camera down, and he was eating seagrass and so cute. You're just gonna have to believe me. Here's a drawing of what it looked like made by Joey.
We've seen the manatee now 3 times, but it's only been like the snoot. It'll come up for like half a second and dive back down. And we're not quick enough to capture that. So we're hoping it'll just come and like say hi. We're trying a new tactic. We're going to sing to the manatee to see if we can intrigue it. Oh manatee, come here and greet me, please. Right there. Manatee!
Ah! Ah!
Yeah! Yeah!
The 2 of them!
Yeah!
You summoned them.
There's 2 of them.
We just spent the last hour and a half just sitting here on the water looking at manatees, and it's been really fun. I feel like this is the first park that we've been to in a long time that feels like you can enjoy the park without having to be out hiking all of the time.
It's a slow park. It reminds me of Carlsbad Caverns, which is kind of just like a gentle stroll through the caverns.
Yeah, we just sat here and took in the ocean breeze and looked at manatees, and it still feels so satisfying as a day spent in the park.
Yes.
That being said, there is more we want to see. Some of it does involve hiking, so we're going to get back in the car and continue on.
Before we head out of Flamingo, let's talk accommodations in the park, because the bulk of overnight stay options are here in Flamingo. In addition to the expected campground and RV sites, you can stay in some more unique accommodations. Rent a fully equipped houseboat, or try out these glamping tents. And if that type of roughing it isn't your style, stay at the newly opened Flamingo Lodge.
The restaurant here at the lodge and over by the marina are the only places with restaurants within the park, so make sure that you have snacks or that you're willing to drive all the way down to the Flamingo area to get a meal.
And for the more adventurous, you can always try backcountry wilderness camping. There is one other camping option within the park, and that is located just a few miles from the Ernest Visitor Center up near Homestead. Now that you know where to stay, let's talk about where you can park during your time in the Everglades.
A lot of the trailheads on this main road, the parking is just like a little pull off that is enough for, in this case, like maybe 5 cars. Right now, that's not a big deal. It's a Friday in January, but I could picture a weekend or even in their really busy season having no parking, maybe at a trailhead that you want to see, which means you'd have to continue on and find something else to do. So keep that in mind when you visit, that parking on some of these trailheads could be difficult to get. But good news, that is not the case everywhere.
So far in the park, the only time that we've seen a situation that we already talked about where you might not have parking are the little trails on the side of the road. At the actual visitor centers and the bigger stops, there is a ton of parking, including parking for trailers on the other side, and then bigger spots that'll fit just about anything.
It's 4 o'clock and we're setting off for our first hike of the day.
We are going to do the Westlake Trail. It is a boardwalk that's going to take us deep into the mangroves. I have a little anxiety because we are literally the only ones here. So is this a bad time to be hiking? Let's find out. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually terrified.
What?
I'm really afraid of snakes and I'm so scared right now.
There's no snakes on this
We've
path.
gone 5 feet from the parking lot and I'm gonna have a panic attack. This bodes well. I'm actually really scared. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Don't!
The Everglades is one of the most diverse ecosystems on the planet, made up of 9 distinct habitats. Freshwater sloughs, the deeper, slow-moving waterways serve as the Everglades' main arteries, carrying water through the landscape. Marl prairies, which dominate the park's eastern side, resemble sloughs but are drier and less vegetated. Cypress trees thrive in standing water, while hardwood hammocks rise just above the wetlands, providing dry refuge for plants and animals. There are also pinelands, and the mangrove forests, like this one here, create a natural coastal barrier. Coastal lowlands are home to salt-tolerant plants, while the marine bottom of Florida Bay and the estuaries connect freshwater and saltwater habitats, sustaining everything from manatees, like we saw in Flamingo, to dolphins. Together, these ecosystems make the Everglades one of the most unique landscapes in the world.
We really weren't expecting to get here to Everglades and have the park essentially to ourselves. All day there have been very few people. We figured January would have been the prime time to be here while the temperatures in Florida are more mild and tolerable.
It is really nice to be in nature and just be alone. But also when we haven't seen anyone for like an hour.
There's alligators, crocodiles, jaguars, pythons.
Fun fact of the day, did you know there's over 100,000 pythons in Everglades National Park? Yup.
And they're invasive, so on top of my dislike for them, they're also ruining the habitat here.
Burmese pythons are directly linked to catastrophic declines in native mammal populations in the Everglades. Originally from Southeast Asia, Burmese pythons were first spotted in the Everglades in the 1980s, likely after being released by pet owners. By the early 2000s, their population had exploded. They can grow to over 18 feet long and eat a wide range of animals, from raccoons and possums to deer, birds, and even alligators. When scientists began tracking the region's mammals using road surveys, what they found was shocking. Between 2003 and 2011, populations of raccoons, possums, and bobcats plummeted, some by over 99%. Rabbits and foxes disappeared entirely, despite ongoing removal efforts like the Florida Python Challenge, which in 2024 removed nearly 200 pythons from public lands in South Florida. Burmese pythons are thriving, and consequently, they have profoundly altered the mammal populations in Everglades National Park.
We're finishing up this trail. It was a very nice half-mile loop around the mangrove forest and out into the water. Who is this trail for? Basically everyone. It is fully wheelchair accessible. We enjoyed it, and I think you would enjoy it as well. We are heading back to the car to go to our next stop, so let's go.
We're at the Mahogany Hammock Trail. It is a half-mile loop on a boardwalk that's going to take us out to some big, massive mahogany trees. boardwalk is actually taking us over to the Tree Island.
It's an island of trees.
It's crazy, one, how dark it got when we got into the trees, but two, how quiet it is as you hear an airplane fly over. Along this trail, you will find the largest living mahogany tree. I don't know what a mahogany tree looks like, but I'm gonna point the camera in directions and we'll try to see which one is the biggest. Okay, this looks like a big tree. This might be a contender. All right, look at this guy. That's a big one.
It's a big tree.
What do we think? There's a placard.
Oh, is there?
Let's find out.
If it is, I don't think it'd be this close because they don't trust people.
What is this? No. All right, we found what's been making all that noise. There's an owl right there. That owl was beautiful. I'm whispering because people are still taking pictures of it and I don't want to spook it away. Ooh. Them, they were taking pictures. That was our first real wildlife spotting on this trail.
On this trail, yeah. I was like,
trail.
we saw a manatee?
We're gonna carry on this loop, still looking for a giant mahogany tree. I don't know if there will be a placard. What do you think?
I don't think there will be a placard because anytime there is like the biggest, exactly, anytime there's the biggest of anything in a park, it's always protected.
That's true. Oh, look at this. The tree has fallen. You can see its roots. Look at how flat. Like, it seems that their root system is so clearly shallow. That's less than a foot thick. Wow.
That's really cool.
Hardwood hammocks are slightly elevated islands where trees grow in thin, nutrient-poor soil over limestone bedrock. Because of this, their roots spread wide instead of deep to absorb nutrients and water efficiently. Plus, with a high water table, deeper roots would be submerged, making shallow roots essential for survival in this unique environment, which is probably why this fallen tree looks the way it does.
Similar to the previous trail, this one is also an accessible boardwalk, so it's a perfect option for all visitors. Another thing to note that I don't think it's just because it's 5:30 p.m. and the sun is going down. The mosquitoes are prevalent here as well, so make sure you have your bug spray. It's not bad if you're moving, but the moment you stop, they swarm and they start to bite you. This is precisely what Joey just said, is why they probably didn't mark which tree is the biggest. If you go to a national park, don't deface the property, don't deface the trees, the living things. This is really disappointing to see. This trail was really wonderful. Highly recommend putting it on your to-do when you go to Everglades National Park. This park so far has been so refreshing to feel like you don't have to be a crazy outdoorsman to enjoy it.
Yes.
Like these boardwalk meanders and watching manatees on the coast. It's a different feeling than a lot of the parks we've been to so far, where there's a lot of pressure to do big hikes and like massively outdoor go-getter climb to the top of a peak, which are wonderful experiences too. But something about this park in particular is just so peaceful, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
We're gonna head back to the car. It is getting dark, which means that we are going to head back to our hotel and
hopefully find tacos.
Yeah, we're going for tacos. Just outside of the park is the famous Gator Grill. We weren't sure if they were gonna be open, but they are, so here's where we're gonna eat.
It's a place you can actually eat gator.
the first time either one of us has tried alligator. The closest we've come previously is when we had crocodile in Uganda in 2018. So I'm not 100% sure what to expect. They've given us some alligator bites, coleslaw, what they call gator sauce, and some french fries because I love french fries. Joey, taste it.
All right. That's good.
All right, I'll try one and then get a flat one. The seasoning that they have put on it just makes me feel like I'm eating a steak.
Yeah, like a chewy, thick steak.
It's good. I really enjoy the flavor. So now I'm gonna dip into the gator sauce. It's like a sriracha Thousand Island.
Yeah, this is really good sauce.
I think it's delicious.
Yeah.
So you heard it here. Gator Grill.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Oh.
Delicious. I'll get you right back to the Everglades in a minute, but if you've made it this far in the video, you likely love national parks, or you like us, maybe a combination of the two. And what I'm about to say will matter to you. We filmed this video at the end of January through the first week of February. Exactly 1 week from the day we got home, the current administration fired thousands of U.S. Forest Service and National Park Service employees. In the weeks since, even more cuts have occurred, leaving the future of our public lands more uncertain than ever. At least 15 members of the Everglades National Park staff lost their jobs in these cuts. I don't know if the wonderful people we interacted during our time there still have jobs. It's not only heartbreaking, it's infuriating. Across the NPS, the USFS, and other public lands, thousands of people who dedicated their entire careers to protecting these beautiful places are now gone. And the impacts of those cuts are already being felt across parks, forests, and the communities that depend on them. Joey and I have spent the last few weeks doing what we can behind the scenes to not only spread awareness, but also impact real change. We hope that you will join us in this fight. And here's what you can do right now. 1, call your representatives. Below in the description, there will be a link to where you can find their phone numbers. 2, send an email. Not everyone is comfortable getting on the phone. An email works as well. We have a blog post linked below that will take you to a template on what you can say in that email, as well as what you can say on the call. 3, show up to protests. Speak out and make sure your voice is heard. 4, if you're going to any public lands this year, make sure you're following the 7 principles of Leave No Trace. We have a whole series of this on our Instagram, breaking down what those principles look like in everyday life out on the trails. 5, when visiting, be patient. Lines will likely be long. Be kind, not only to your fellow visitors, but to the staff and rangers that remain in these parks. They are understaffed, underfunded, and doing the best they can with the situation at hand. Make sure you're cleaning up after yourself. And if you see trash or junk on a trail and you have the means, pick it up and take it out of the park. And finally, 6, most importantly, please continue to visit our parks and public lands and do so responsibly. The communities around these places rely on visitors to survive. I know this is a heavy conversation, but what's happened in the time since we visited Everglades is unprecedented, and we need to do what we can to support our parks. So with all this said, let's get back to day 2 in the Everglades. Yesterday was all about the calm, peaceful, and gentle way to see Everglades National Park. But today we have a bit more adventure planned.
It's all about survival.
But first, we're back in the south side of the park to do a few of the things we missed yesterday because we spent all day manatee spotting.
Yeah.
2 of them!
Yeah. We're at Royal Palms section of Everglades National Park, and we're about to do 2 trails, Anhinga and Gumbo Limbo Trail. Hopefully, we see some wildlife.
Just off the bathrooms is this pond, and we've already spotted a handful of animals. We have 2 big birds, and then I think there's an alligator right over there.
The official terminology is big bird.
Well, I don't know what it is.
It's also the same animal as my dog. Big bird.
Big bird. She did have a big bird face. If I have a photo, I'm inserting it here.
That's a dinosaur.
Literally right by the parking lot. So if you don't even make it past the parking lot, you will likely have a wonderful wildlife viewing experience. Joey, it's swimming towards us. Look at him moving and grooving. We have once again fallen into the trap of spending all of our time looking at one animal. We do have reservations coming up for something that I'm not going to tell you yet, which means we got to put a little pep in our step. So we're going to do the Anhinga Trail, which is going to hopefully continue to give us good wildlife viewings. We moved 7 feet and are now focused on this bird. We're in trouble. There was more than one. That's a no for me, dog. I'm backing up. Absolutely not.
Of the 41, now 42 national parks that we've been to, this has been, especially the south side of Everglades, the most accessible national park. It is insane. We were talking about, like, you have to go maybe 10 feet from the parking lot to see alligators, to see birds, see fish, to see all of these beautiful creatures without going for a hike. It is really nice how well they set up this park for accessibility.
The whole walk over here, we thought this was a statue. It is indeed a real live bird. All right, I don't know if you can see this because of the fog, but that is the parking lot and the bathroom visitor center building. We've gone maybe 100 yards.
And over.
They certainly weren't exaggerating when they said that this is your best chance to spot all of the wildlife, because as you've seen, it is literally everywhere on this trail.
I just told Katie, I'm blown away at how much I'm enjoying Everglades. It is such a fresh breath of air, not having to overly exert ourselves and see all of this beautiful wildlife just right from our car.
We definitely were not expecting this.
No.
In all seriousness, this trail is a half-mile paved. I believe it's a loop. Okay, so I was right, it is a loop, but we weren't even at the loop part. We have gone so small of a distance. The trail's gonna break off and head that way and loop around. We made it. Time to start the hike.
I don't know, my watch says we finished it because we haven't moved.
The fog is starting to burn off and the sun is coming out. And I'm shocked, one, how sweaty I am, but two,
I'm not.
I'm very sweaty, that it's a Saturday in January. And again, there aren't many people here. There are definitely people on the trail compared to yesterday when we were alone a lot, but we are
Alone.
on this whole section of this hike by ourselves. It's, again, a really enjoyable experience that we weren't expecting.
Yeah.
So the forks in the path take you to little overlooks. We're gonna check out this one right here. There's some people standing there looking intently at the water, so I'm hoping that there is some wildlife. It's so fun to watch these little birds walking along. We just finished the boardwalk section of the Anhinga Trail. Out there, the wildlife we saw were birds and fish. If you have the means to go out there, it was fully accessible and a very beautiful walk. In this shot, there are 2 gators. If you can screenshot it and point them out, I will give you a virtual high five. but I'm also just gonna show you right now. Here they are.
Hooray!
Unfortunately, we don't have time to do the Gumbo Limbo Trail, so we're gonna head back to the car, turn on the air conditioning, and then head into Homestead because we're picking up something special.
What are we looking at? Hi, friends. All right.
We got bikes.
If you can't tell, we have rented some bikes because I hit the wall. There we go. All right, back to it. We rented bikes because this evening we are going to go on a guided ranger bike tour in the Shark Valley area of Everglades. At night, in the dark. It is like a full moon right now, so it's going to be extra dark. And yeah, we're gonna have quite the adventure.
It's super helpful to have master bike mechanic and Joey take care of this, and I'm not even kidding you. He is actually knowledgeable about bicycles. We are now headed to the Shark Valley entrance of Everglades National Park, which is in the northern part of Everglades.
It's about an hour drive, so we got some ground to cover.
We rented our bikes from Homestead Bicycle Shop in Homestead, which is a super convenient location for both the south and the north entrances of the park. Oliver, who works at Homestead Bicycle Shop, is amazing. He hooked us up with some sick bikes and some helmets. If you are looking to rent bikes, we recommend going there. They were very friendly, and we're excited to take these bikes out.
You didn't think we were gonna come all the way to Florida and not go on an airboat ride.
Hell yeah, brother.
We were able to book the tour online, but they do serve walk-ups, so if you're in the area and are thinking about it, you can pop right in. They also give free earplugs.
As the motor enthusiast of the two of us, I find these airboats super fascinating. They came stock with like LS engines, like crate engines from Chevrolet, and they weren't producing enough horsepower, about 750 horsepower. So what they do is get airplane engines that are unsafe to fly, that push almost 1,000 horsepower, and put them in these things so they really fly. And then they tune them down so they have more power at lower RPM range, which is perfect for something like this.
How much water does it need?
Big ones like this only need 4 inches. The smaller ones, like 1 or 2 people, only need nothing. They can just do it on land.
Okay, but I hear 4 inches is a lot, right?
4 inches is a lot. It's way too much.
You can sit anywhere you like, except the driver's seat. That one's
Airboat tours are only allowed in a very tiny section of the Everglades, and none are physically located at Shark Valley. The 3 NPS concession services for airboats are located about 15 to 20 minutes east of Shark Valley. We try our best to put our money on these trips back into the indigenous communities whose lands most of our national parks reside upon. For that reason, we chose Miccosukee Airboats instead of one of the 3 park concessionaires. The Everglades are considered the homeland of the Miccosukee tribe. While they were first based in North Florida with lands extending north to the Appalachians and south to the Keys, they were pushed to the southernmost extent of their tribal lands as a result of the Indian Removal Act. For centuries, the Everglades has been the tribe's home, and on this tour we got to explore a hammock-style camp that the same family has owned for over 100 years. The whole experience was $40 per person for the 40-minute tour.
This was so much fun.
So much fun. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting it. It felt like we were ice skating.
Yeah,
we're just
that's a good way to put
gliding across the water. It was so smooth.
For something so big that seats like 20 people and has a massive engine on the back, so nimble. It's wild.
Yeah, you could rip a U-turn. He was going around. It was really fun. Highly recommend checking this place out if you're coming to Florida and just getting this experience.
Yeah.
All right, we have more to do today, so we're gonna hop back in the car and head to our next destination. The sign on the road said that the parking lot here in the Shark Valley area is full, but it's the late afternoon, so we're hoping that maybe it's not actually full and that sign just stays up all of the time. So we're going to wait in this long line and hope that we can park. If not, there is parking on the side of the road where we would have to go.
We've got a few hours before the sun goes down and our bike tour starts, so...
Now we're at our favorite part of our trip, where we have nothing to do for an hour and we have to do our Junior Ranger books!
Junior Ranger!
If you don't know, it's probably the absolute best thing to do in any national park.
Okay, so that third section of Everglades that we mentioned at the beginning of the video, well, let's talk really quickly about what you can see and do there. Located in Everglades City, the Gulf Coast section of the park is in a bit of a transition. They are currently building a brand new visitor center after the original Gulf Coast Visitor Center was destroyed by Hurricane Irma in September of 2017, and the temporary visitor contact station was destroyed by Hurricane Ian in 2022. The Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Visitor Center project is expected to continue through late 2025, but there are still activities you can do there, the big one being the 10,000 Island Boat Tour. It costs $48 to $54 per person for a 1.5-hour tour. It explores parts of the 10,000 Islands, a maze of mangrove islands and waterways, and a region of the park that's only accessible by boat.
You can officially say hello to Everglades National Park's newest Junior Rangers.
Shark Valley, where we are now, is a bit of a one-trick pony. There is really one attraction here, and that is the 15-mile paved bicycle tram road, with a pretty sick observation tower at the halfway point. Now, this can be explored in many different ways, which we'll get into in a second, so you can definitely spend a whole day here. But it is a little more one-dimensional than the variety you get in the south section of the park. Just wanted to be completely transparent.
There are bike rentals available at the concessionaire at the Shark Valley Visitor Center. It didn't work for us to rent from there since the hours are strictly during the day. It costs $26 per bike for the day. Bikes can be reserved online or in person on a first-come, first-served basis. The 15-mile paved road is flat and takes between 2 and 3 hours to complete the loop. Something to note is that the South Florida heat is no joke. If it's not something you are used to or prepared for, the tram tour is a great alternative.
This tour is 2 hours long.
Check. All right.
We should be back by 5. Bike starts at 6.
Good afternoon, guys. I want to formally welcome you guys to Everglades National Park, Shark Valley. The hard part is out of the way. Sit back, relax. Why in the world would you call this Shark Valley? Well, first, we're going to get the valley part out of the way. It's a low point between two high points. So we got Miami to the east of us at 27 feet over sea level. We got Naples to the west of us at 16 feet over sea level. And right now, guys, we're at a whopping 6 feet over sea level. So in a very literal sense, we are a valley.
Everglades protects 1.5 million acres of southern Florida's vital wetlands, the largest tropical wilderness in the country. But the Everglades once spanned about 3 million acres. Today, less than half of this original ecosystem remains due to decades of draining wetlands, a rise of agriculture, and urban development. There's a common misconception that the Everglades is one giant swamp, and that the waters are dark and murky with an abundance of creatures lurking below. The water here moves a quarter mile per day, meaning it is actually a very slow-moving river. And if you look closely at that water, it is crystal clear. As for the lurking wildlife, they are there, but they really do mind their business. That flowing water coming from Lake Okeechobee is the lifeblood of these wetlands, but the current land that makes up Everglades National Park has been severed from Lake Okeechobee, limiting the supply of clean, fresh water and threatening the ecosystems that exist here. Restoration efforts are focused on reconnecting water flow across South Florida to support the region's wildlife, drinking water, and economy. A little tip for the bus tour when it comes to the sun. If you sit on the right side in the afternoon, you will be in the sun the majority of the ride. In the morning, I'd imagine it's the opposite. So keep that in mind because the Florida sun is no joke. Oh, and the back row has tons of legroom, and this little metal thing where we could put our feet up. We are halfway through the tram tour. They pulled off near the tower. There are restrooms, which is good to know. They're just porta potties. But we have about 20 minutes stopped here, and we're gonna go check it out.
Fun fact, the porta potties also double as a sauna.
So you don't have to take the tram to come to this part of the park. You can walk this trail, which is 15 miles, or you can bike it. If you are able, go ahead and walk to the top of the tower. It gives you 360-degree views. It is spectacular. We all got on the tram and then the driver was immediately like, no, get off, because he wants to show us an alligator. So we're all congregating by the bathrooms to see the alligator.
Fun fact, Everglades National Park is the only place in the world where alligators coexist with crocodiles. In fact, the Everglades is the only place in the United States where you can see crocodiles.
The tram ride was a lot of fun. The host was very educational. He pointed out a lot of great animals along the way. We've got about 15 minutes until we have to check in for our evening bike ride. So we are going to go recoup.
And get bug spray on. The bugs are ruthless
spray.
again as the sun goes down. People are pulling up in full biking kit. I guarantee I'm the first one to cry.
No, you're not gonna cry. But good for you for calling it a cycling kit.
Because we're gonna be out there when it's pitch black, we needed to cover our headlamp lights because we didn't have red ones with this cellophane, so that we can maintain our night vision, not bug the animals, and survive.
It's all about survival. So let the snakes know that their food is coming.
Park Service Ranger, I'll be leading the ride tonight. I've been working here at Shark Valley for about 7 years now. I've been a volunteer.
Yes.
Don't worry, nothing will happen out here. I've ridden out here a bazillion times.
The guy on the tram tour made it seem like I'm gonna get eaten by a snake.
No. I count it lucky the times I get to see a snake.
Okay.
I've ridden this loop a bazillion times and I've seen 3 snakes.
Okay. He was like, at night there will be millions and they will all try to get me.
You're gonna be fine. I promise.
All right, everybody ready to go? Yeah. All right, let's see what we can see.
Casual. Very scared.
We've seen 4 alligators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was it?
So much fun. It's really nice to be out here. I don't think either of us would have elected to be riding around a bike at 8 o'clock at night in Everglades National Park.
True that. When we ride, occasionally you'll see little red dots off to the side where there are alligator eyes. There aren't any right here, but... Alright, we've made it to where we can walk to the tower. So we're 7 miles in. It's very dark. Yep. It's been really fun so far. Yeah. We can tell where each other are because we have these glow sticks hanging off the back. So it's so dark. All I see are these glow sticks up ahead. And then the tower is right there. Climbing up. Look at this. How cool is that? The moment you stop moving, the bugs attack.
On the way back, you may ride at whatever speed you want. In fact, I'll wait until everybody's gone. I'll give you a couple of minutes, and then I'll start, so just in case anybody runs into trouble, I can call for help if we need to.
So we are on our own for the return journey. Although the group is kind of together, we are just...
We're on our own.
We're on our own.
We were sent out as sacrificial lambs to go out front, and hopefully we don't run over an alligator or a crocodile.
All right, so about a 7.5 mile return. Let's go.
We made it to the visitor center. 15 miles, we're so fast.
Awesome.
Ready? When we got back in the car to film a conclusion, the camera didn't record any audio, so let me summarize our trip here. The Everglades completely surprised us. To be honest, we came here thinking this would just be a park we tolerated. A mandatory stop to check off on our journey to see all 63 US national parks. But we were so wrong. In just 2 days, it completely won us over. We could have filled 4, 5, maybe even 6 days with activities and still barely scratched the surface. Driving into the park, leaving behind the city and the sprawl, felt like stepping into another world. One where nature still reigns, wild and untouched. It is a rare and powerful transition, and it makes you realize just how important it is to protect places like this, now more than ever. If you've never been, let this be your sign to visit. To stroll its many boardwalks. To watch the sunset over the sawgrass. To experience the quiet, raw beauty of this place for yourself. We never expected to love this park as much as we did, and now we can't wait for the next leg of this trip to see what the rest of Florida's national parks have in store.